Gentlemen, thanks so much for checking out Red Bull Land Orlando, that training tournament. We got to see the players level up their game, but now here at the Red Bull Battlegrounds, it's time to test their skill level against the best of the best. I'm Day 9.
And I'm DJ Wheat, and I'm excited. We're going to be kicking off the matches here shortly. We're going to be going through all of the players, but first, it's not just us here. We've got some more people to introduce.
That is correct. It will not just be myself and DJ Wheat casting. Joining us at this event will be none other than Husky Starcraft and Rob Simpson casting up on stage number 2. Huge round of applause for them. Coming up front and center, Rob and Husky will be joining us soon here at the side booth to talk a little bit about those matches. Now, of course, oh, and there they are again, guys. Let's just do a double round of applause for Rob and Husky. Now, for any of you who haven't been following the news leading up to the Red Bull Battlegrounds, let's talk a little bit about the tournament format for this event. I mean, there's a lot of double elimination formats out there. There's a lot of pre-qualifiers, but this one fairly simple. Day 1 is a 4 round-robin group of 4 qualification pool. Each round is best of 3, and the top 2 there will advance to the playoffs.
Yeah, so, I mean, throughout the course of the day, we're going to, like we mentioned, broadcast every single game through the duration of these groups, and they will, of course, find the top 2 by the end of the day. So we will have players advancing on, and we will have players, quote-unquote, going home today. We're going to see sort of and experience the full gamut of possibilities throughout the day.
And of course, each player, though, guaranteed to get 3 full rounds, 3 full best of 3s in there. In case of a tie break, it will just be based on map percentage.
Right.
And if they're still tied, then we'll get to see some tiebreakers played right here on the main stage.
And with the talent that's here, Sean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. It's going to be a crazy day.
And these players are competing for an incredibly large prize pool, $41,000 total, with $15K going to first place.
Yep, obviously a breakdown from there. 8th place, 2,000, 5,500 for 3rd. And it keeps on going down, but every single player that competes here today will be a moneymaker. They'll walk away, but of course, you start with the baseline of 500. Every single one of those players, they want to make it all the way to the top.
And now, it's so important to note that every single match has money on the line. Even if you and your opponent are both 0-2 in your group, both been eliminated, that match will be for the chance to win $800, even if you get in that 9th to 12th place position.
So there's a lot of money to be won here, 41,000 and a little bit more, and I am so excited to see how exactly this is all going to play out.
So let's step a little bit more into that StarCraft and action that you know and love so much, the pro maps for this tournament. It's a small map set, only 6 will be played in this event.
They're right there on the screen. Antigua, Daybreak, Metropolis, Cloud Kingdom, Ohana, and Entombed Valley. And I think there's a little bit of everything there for all the players based off the race, based off of what they're going up against. And I think that generally most of them very, very happy with this map pool this weekend.
Yes, I mean, all the maps going to be 2- and 3-player maps. They are the GSL versions. Sure, there's 4 start positions, but they are restricted. There's no gold bases, Marcus.
Right, right.
Everything's regular bright blue.
Which is good, I think.
Yes, actually, interestingly, on some of the maps had as high as 70% win rate for some of the races. Once the gold was removed, they tumbled down to a normal 50%.
It's crazy, isn't it? No more fast expanding to the gold for Zerg.
Undoubtedly. And of course, you know, I want to talk a little bit more about the players who will be at this event, because they are the lifeblood of any tournament. And to discuss the predictions for the Red Bull Battlegrounds, I want to bring up Rob Simpson and Husky Starcraft. Come on up, and let's have ourselves a little round-robin table talking about those groups. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, guys.
Thank you, Sean.
Oh, hey, ready to go? Are we?
Yeah, let's go ahead and hop into Group A. We will be the 4 casters for this event. Group A has 2 top Zergs and 2 top Terrans. We have Stefano and Violet, the Zerg players who've been winning tons of international tournaments, and then Ganji and Illusion, who are not nearly as well decorated as the other 2 Zerg players, but still formidable in their own right.
From a spectator point of view, I'm just stoked because I love TVZ. You're going to see a lot of it throughout this particular matchup. And then, of course, you're going to see Stefano, Violet, ZVZ it up, Gonzi, Illusion, TVT it up. Like, this is a really exciting group for me.
Now, I think that one of the things that's going to make this group so exciting is that last night, one of the only players that opened up and talked smack at that panel was Illusion. And guess who he's going to have to fight to kick off the show?
Illusion versus Stefano will be the first match at Red Bull Battlegrounds broadcast here. I know there's a lot of eyes on that match.
Yeah, last night when we were talking to him, there was a little bit of smack talk going on between them. And my favorite part was when Illusion was like, Stefano's going to get owned. We brought Stefano on, and we're like, hey, Illusion said this. And he was like, who? Which is, I think, one of the best insults you could ever give someone.
And of course, we don't even have to argue over who would possibly come out on top because they'll just demonstrate it for us right off the bat. And what I also love about Group A is there's so many repeat matchups from past tournaments.
Right.
Stefano and Violet just duked it out at the Spring Arena. We've seen Ganji eliminate Violet from the Winter Championships. Illusion is pretty much the only relatively unknown player in that group.
Yeah, and definitely one who could do the most damage. I think, you know, he's not just a player who's going to be there to give other players points. He's a player that is certainly going to take games and perhaps even an entire series off of some of those other players.
Yeah, and I was watching Illusion practice just moments ago, and he was feeling pretty good. He seems pretty confident, and I'll be interested to see how he does on stage since he hasn't been to as many tournaments as someone like, say, Stefano, who is one of the highest earningest players out of all of Starcraft II and the highest earning player outside of Korea. So that's a lot of pressure right out the gate, but he seemed level-headed, and he smack talked, so I'm kind of excited about it.
Well, we'll be kicking off Group A starting right at 2 p.m. going until all the matches are played and done. Checking out Group B, one of the groups that do have the team versus team Liquid Chef going against Liquid Teja, and of course the new player on EG, Thorzane, with his fellow Swede Quantic Sase.
Yeah, and in that group now, we're really looking forward to seeing Sase because he always brings something new to the table, and he's also such a sweet fellow.
Oh,
and in
yes.
talking with Thorzane the whole weekend as well, they've been practicing together quite a bit moving into this event, so seeing how they're gonna perform should be awesome.
Sase also got second at the last Red Bull Training Land, so you know, Rhett did best him in that competition, but you know, Sase's already shown he can get up there. You know, we had the debate last night about making it through the group, and this certainly some tears will be shed because undoubtedly, no matter which two go forward, the remaining two still fan favorites, still hopefuls. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah, anytime you have multiple Liquid members, I think in any group, people are going to be excited, but also sad. I think, you know, Teja being one of the newer-ish players on Team Liquid, a lot of people are going to be curious to see exactly how he does. Sheth always being Supermanner, as we've been talking to him over the weekend. He's completely stoked and ready to go. And I was also watching Thorzane. He was one of the first people who showed up today to practice. So he, again, I mean, he was crushing through the ladder today, and I think he's ready to go.
The most interesting aspect to me is the fact that Sase and Teja, as players in Korea, don't get the chance to travel to a lot of international tournaments. They're largely known from their online presence. Sase with his streaming, and of course all the buzz about his unusual play. Teja winning 6 total ESV Korean weeklies against the tip-top of the best players ever. I really think that though Teja is the most unknown in that group in terms of just the public eye, I think his skill level might be the best in Group B overall.
And to add further weight to Teja's achievement in the ESV weekly, the second highest is like 2.
Yes,
so
2 medals,
he's
1
won
first,
far
1
and
second.
away.
Yeah, and he has 6 firsts and 1 second.
Yeah, and in casting some of those Korean weeklies, I mean, that is a tough. I mean,
It's tough.
they play a lot of games on there, but those matches are very, very tough. And to be that successful there was great. And also, you were talking to Sase last night, and he has like a crazy like sleep schedule that he goes on. So if he knows he's gonna have to be traveling, he'll go to bed at like 11 p.m. and wake up at 8 a.m. or whatever, so that when he gets here,
crazy.
he is not jet lagged at all.
Oh, a normal sleep schedule. Whoa.
You know, but Sase also said, tomorrow you might get to see some new stuff out of me. So
That
we
is
talked
true.
about how
I'm hoping so.
Sase is definitely one of those unique. He's a brain player for sure.
Didn't watch a single replay of another player for almost a year after StarCraft II came out. Just rather focused on his own play.
Group C. Let's move on to there. Guys, we have Startail Bomber, of course, a Red Bull sponsored player as well. Gosu Ostoji, EG Huck, and SKMC. This is also such an interesting group. Huck MC, great friends, have been for quite some time as Huck has been spending most of his time out in Korea. Ostoji, an up-and-coming Zerg, one of the younger players here, along with Illusion. And of course, Bomber, a guy who has lived up to his name before and certainly dropped some bombs on some amazing StarCraft II talent in the past.
Yeah, and also on Group C, it's very important to note that there is one of each race in there. So when you're practicing for a tournament like this, you basically have to practice anything. anything. You can't rely on just practicing 1 or 2 matchups. And I mean, for players like Huck and MC and Bomber as well, I mean, they've been on stage many, many times. They know the deal. So I imagine that when they're practicing for this, they've just been playing a ton of games versus all the races. And I get excited when there's a race that's not completely stacked one way or the other.
And in this group, Ostoji, again, one of the unknowns there, has really been slowly climbing his way up. And the other 3 players have really been having a lot of trouble as of late. I mean, obviously, they're all GSL Code S caliber players, but Bomber had quite a tumble out of the GSL. MC only recently got back in after having a strong lull, and Huck has also been having trouble putting up consistent results in a variety of tournaments. So in that group, it's really going to be the test of who can come back and get back on the horse.
I agree. I think you
Well
just said
said,
it all
Sean.
right there.
Yeah, and that's
Well
exactly
said,
why
Sean.
that group, I mean, that's going to be the story of that group is, you know, who can prove themselves to get back on that horse. And again, there's a lot of money on the line. So taking this tournament, I mean, there's 16 players here. You just win a couple rounds and you're dangerously close to that prize pool. So that would be huge for anyone traveling here to be able to win that much.
And so moving on to Group D, this group is made up of the one and only Liquid Ret, and down there, the Terran player making his first foreign live appearance since one of the first MLG events. This is Last Shadow. Below that, of course, we have Startail Parting, and then the most recent addition, Startail Squirtle.
Group D has had a huge amount of changes over time.
Right,
Originally,
yeah.
White Raw in Group D had to withdraw, unfortunately, then replaced by Puzzle, whose visa got rejected at the airport on Tuesday, and Squirtle, emergency backup. And honestly, Squirtle is perhaps the biggest storyline in Group D, second in IPL, second in the most recent GSL. If he gets another second, then that is one of the most
new Silver
painful-
Surfer.
Stork in the making, man. Silversmith all day.
Yeah, I mean, but the addition of Squirtle that makes this group as already deathly
Right.
as it was before. Now it just makes it just absolutely insane. So Rhett was the winner of the last Red Bull Training Land. I mean, he's got a lot to sort of live up to if he wants to try to capture a second one, and what an amazing feat that would be. But I'll tell you what, those 2 Protoss, they will be a massive roadblock for the other players in that group.
All players in Group D have trained in Korea. Last Shadow been training there for 9 months. Squirtle and Parting, full-time pros. Rhett, no stranger to knocking down top Koreans. Going to be a real shocking set of upsets in Group D if any player wins.
Can't wait.
Yeah, and they were talking about the dynamic of that group last night when we were interviewing them, where if one of those players drops a game, the dynamic of that group is going to be completely shooken up. I mean,
Shattered.
there's some obvious favorites in that group, but you know, the players, I think Last Shadow was saying he's taken games off of all those players on ladder. Like, he has gone up against them, he's played macro games and won. And so he said, though, and I think it stands true, that tournament settings are completely different. Players,
Right, and Last
do
Shadow
not-
was feeling so confident coming into this anyway. He's most recently had his wrist surgery, and he's been recovering fantastically. And Red actually mentioned that the only player that he's worried about playing is Last Shadow, because you can't study an unknown.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've just done our predictions. We've introduced you to the format of the tournament. I'd like to give a special thanks before we head off to a brief break to the sponsors, Astro and Twitch TV, for helping make this event, the Red Bull Battlegrounds, possible. When we come back, we're going to be introducing to you the 16 players of the Red Bull Battlegrounds.